First night of feeds is down. We are so back, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Welcome to my second ever way too early power rankings. After night one of feeds, I rank everybody from best player to worst player. Last year, my number one player at the end of the first night, Ashley, who I was pleasantly surprised by her activeness, her connections, her ability to sort of work with a couple different audiences, skills that helped her incredibly well in the game. So without further ado, let's see who my favorite is this time. Overall, before we get into it, let's talk about Night One feeds. Night One feeds were pretty solid, but not a lot of clear talking. The day after noms is always kind of a quiet day because there's not new the strategy tends to revolve around will you pick me to play in the veto, which isn't that useful of a question, and a lot of players will say, will be like, yeah, maybe, which is not exactly just say, I currently plan to, and then be like, I change my mind, or something change my mind. Like you can do stuff, but a lot of players very dodgy about that. And then you have a lot of players being like, so how does the veto work? The worst example, we'll get into this, but Shock was it was just dirty. Well, some people are faking it, some people are genuine about it. It's so annoying and so dumb. Um, so with that in mind, let's talk about the my rankings. At the very bottom, player who is one of my favorite players of all time, actually, Rachel Riley, who did not make a Feeds appearance, was killed by a Velociraptor. Okay. I'm joking. I just love the idea that she's actually the 18th place house guest. I know she's not, but it's so funny to me the idea that she could be. Number 17 is Taylor. This girl was just so passive. She was on the block. She probably ended up being okay, but I think her political instincts are truly terrible. She is nominated by D, and is like really emotional about it, but then like kind of shuts down. Doesn't really do a lot of talking on feeds. But then she's also like mega loyal to D at the same time. It's convinced that D just doesn't know how to play the game. In ways that were just like really disheartening and not exciting to watch. Especially when you combine the unlocked appearance today, where Devon's didn't give her a hug and she like left the room to be like, I can't handle this. Like it's just not good gameplay. It's really bad, and it leads to her being in a lot of trouble here. She's also the only person who's a have not. So she's a block have not, which is a brutal combination. Being a have not doesn't strategically matter in the game, but it can affect your exhaustion levels, your energy levels throughout the day. And when you are on the block, you need to be able to push it. You need to be able to work hard. And when you're a have not, sometimes people get really hurt by it. Nicole Anthony, who of course went out in BB28, got ahead with a have not with one and got very sick off that swap, and it really affected the entire game. It's just like she barely could play the first week. And I see a similar trajectory to Taylor where she's just not active at all. She's moaning, wallowing, and then her reads are all off. Like I don't trust if she was in the game longer that she would be able to play the game. So it's a 17 for me. At number 16, we have Mallory, currently the favorite to go home. I don't think this is a set in stone thing. Obviously, Blockbuster, Veto still has to be played. Mallory just being on the block week one is never great. And I don't love a lot of the gameplay. A lot of the people who she should have as allies, Lyric, Melody, are people who she has not, who like are pushing themselves away from her, being like, "Hey, you're on the block. We don't relate to you. We got other plans. We got other focuses." And the fact that she doesn't have these like firm allies is a really worrying sign. She also, I think, had a bit of a blow up against D, which is not going well. And I think D is very set to hear about a lot of stuff that Mallory's been saying and doing, and I really worry about that will really hurt them. Um, I like Mallory overall. I actually think she was fun on feeds. Like I really enjoyed Mallory, and I don't know if she has the best reads, but I also think she's playing from such a disadvantaged position. it can be hard, even if you are an okay player, to succeed. I certainly don't think she's like an excellent player. Yeah, it was rough. At number 15, I have the last person on the block, Yash. Yash was incredibly quiet, had no real sense of the game. I felt like they were just kind of there, which, aligns with them saying that they've been binge watching Big Brother to try to prep because they seem very out of it. Veto questions, confusions about how the veto works is a big deduction. Being on the block is a huge deduction. The passiveness of it all is a huge deduction. I don't see Yash in any alliance all throughout the entire night, which is such a red flag, given that Yash should be someone who's fairly athletic, has a lot of potential, and yet is so out of it in a way that is just not good. But obviously, veto could change a lot of things. At number 14, the first player who was not on the block, I have Jason. I love Selena Cities. I love them on Drag Race 15. I love them on Stars 11. Selena Cities is awesome. One of the things I think I told some of my friends about Selena was, hey, two things you need to be aware of. One, she's going to be alive. She's going to be high energy. She's going to be doing a lot. And she's like kind of the definition of a diagram yeller. Jason is, even out of drag, is a little different, but it's still kind of the same vibe where there's just a lot of energy, a lot of movement. But also, the second thing I said was on All Stars 11, Selena played the episode a bit like Big Brother, trying to create alliances, but their alliance management was horrific. Their reads on how to actually get points, how benefit from alliances was terrible. And so they had fun making alliances, but it gave very my first time playing, where they're like, oh, let's make an alliance for the sake of making an alliance, rather than let's strategically make a real alliance. Let me manage that alliance. And a lot of that same lack of skill that I saw in All Stars 11 is really coming to play here. He has the worst quote of the night by far, where he's talking to Taylor and says, "I don't think Dee knows how to play Big Brother. I don't think Dee understands the culture of Big Brother. I think we need to, unquote, we need to teach her how to play the game." Which, a couple things truly horrendous with this. One, first of all, D is the current HOH. Bad talking the current HOH is terrible, 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 terrible strategy. Don't do it. Don't bad talk the HOH under any circumstance, especially week one. Because, and I know Jason is safe, but don't do it anyways. It's not good because it can make encourage D to do things like target your allies to hurt you. Um, Secondly, Deed's just one Survivor, which is a very difficult show. Selena is a big fan of Survivor. Selena should know how incredibly difficult it is to win Survivor. And so the fact that Big Brother is a different show is okay. But then the real problem I have with Jason is that he is letting Dee get in his head, and he's drastically underestimating someone who's both the first HOH, which is an incredibly powerful position, and also someone who's won Survivor and has played recently with someone else on this exact cast. It's not making sense to me how you can have a read this bad. And I'm sure he is doing stuff to try to create this impression. But the read is one of the worst I've seen in a while. And it's so impressive to me that it's so easy what Dee has managed to do. And this sort of miss has been really impressive to watch. At number 14, 13, 12, I believe 12, we have Ashley. Sorry, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Yeah, number 12, we have Ashley. Not a lot from them today. Very quiet. Angela was trying to remember their name, couldn't, which is not a great sign that you're kind of forgettable. Not on the block, which is good. Not even the planned replacement. But I don't understand what Ashley's path is right now. I guess she has this sort of room where she can work with some of the girls, but it's not making sense. I don't understand what Ashley's plan is. And I'm watching her, and I don't even have a good sense of what her strategic chops are. I don't know anything. She's the person who gave me the least today, so I'm gonna give her sort of the least is in terms of info. Well, also was not Chuck offensive, who I think I just skipped over because I don't really care for it. Yeah, I really did. Wow. Number 14 is Chuck. Didn't know the veto and genuinely didn't understand any of it. I'm convinced they do not know what show they're on at all. It was bad. Did not see anything I liked from him. No relationships, no connections, none of that stuff. I don't know what this man's doing on television, but it's not good. So that is a 14. Ashley is number 12. Anything else with Ashley? Angela didn't remember their name. Dee did not remember they were even in the house. Yeah, not great. Not a great start. Very quiet. Very out of it on feeds today. We'll see if tomorrow or tonight brings a different story, but it was rough. At number 11, we have Rome, who is higher than I expected. There are a couple of things that made me go, with Rome. The big one was he was complaining to Lyric, who was clearly infatuated with Lyric. I clearly really likes Lyric, and was like, "Hey, so Haley was hitting on me. Are you okay with that?" And Lyric was like, "Yeah, go ahead, go for it." And he clearly wants Lyric to be like, "No, no, I want you." And it's so obvious and it's so painful. And I'm watching it and I'm like, what is this juvenile shenanigan? It is bad. Made me some worried somewhat. But the thing is, Rome has been kind of in a okay but not great place. They're not in the major alliance. They clearly have a lot of the girls on his side. The problem is not the right girls. Um, and it's not great. He does benefit from having Lyric as potential showmans. I think Lyric and Rome are going to be a very valuable piece to pick up in the mid in this early game. I think Rome has plenty of room to grow, but he hasn't really convinced me that he has any strategic shots. And what I have seen is like weird banter. I don't know what his vision is for the game, and I can't support it. At number 10, we have Lyric. Lyric looks okay. Uh, kind of quiet. She's had a messed up voice. It's been slowly recovering. Clearly, she's not been used to talking this much, and she's like one of the people who specifically really hurts from that. Uh, Lyric was having like a lot of lozenges, trying to like help her voice out. And it's getting a little better. I think people are starting to click with her more. The problem is she's sort of in this associate group of Lyric, Melody, and Mallory. Mallory's, of course, on the block. Melody, who we'll get to in a second, is a potential replacement nom. And then Lyric's kind of there. And she has some ideas on how to move forward. But there's too many people who she's looking at who are not the right people. She needs to look at like Yash. She needs to look at she has Rome probably. She needs to probably look at Lala, aka Latrice. Um, she needs to look at Chuck as a potential ally. And right now she doesn't have the clearest foothold of what to do. But she's in the house. She's got plenty of room to work with. I don't think she's in danger next week. I think there's a bunch of people who go over her, but she's someone who could be in a lot of danger and not super long for this world, depending on how she plays. At number 9, we have Melody. This is sort of the last of the players who I think are not playing or just disadvantaged. Melody actually seems like the best player of that side of the house. Um, she has a clear game plan. It has some flaws in it. She is too trusting of Drew, too trusting of Barrett. But I see the potential. I see where she's trying to go. And overall, I like it a lot. I think Melody's doing the right things, the right gameplay moves. She's just behind the wheel. She's just not empowered. She's just not connected to D. And so it's creating a much harder battlefield for her to play in. But I like a lot of what she's trying to do. She has the right ideas. But again, she could be a replacement nominee, which is not great. She's also trying to sort of create a side of the house that D is not part of, which is tough to do when you're not the HOH. Power in the first week moves through the HOH. Any alliance that creates should include the HOH in week one. Am I not doing those things? Rather than like dismantling the main alliance by creating an alternative option, you're just trying to create an enemy that will solidify the current alliance. But she's the best player. Like she's the one who, if I see kind of going decently far, if she can get the right cards to fall for her this week, because I think she knows the most what to do. She definitely seems like the biggest fan of everyone who's gone so far, except for maybe Jason, which is another really positive thing. At number 8, we have Haley. Girl is the queen of Give Me Nothing while being in a majority alliance. That's really all I have to say. Haley talking game is not great, which is kind of whatever. But she's in the majority alliance. She has some decent positioning. I don't know how good she is long term, but she's also perceived as the bigger threat over Kamu. She's also been spotted. A lot of people feel like she's clearly an ally with D. And so some of that stuff is not great. You want to like make it hard to figure out who's with who, and she's not interested in making it tricky to figure it out. Cool. And number 7, we have Kamu. Kamu's in the majority alliance also is like the person with the connections, connection to Rome, connection to Haley. Very connected to Haley, clearly. He's someone who's been able to interact with a lot of people. It was very weird. There was a conversation where Melody, Lyric, and Mallory were talking, and Kamu walks in, and they just start spilling to Kamu about all this stuff, and I was like, oh my goodness. They spilled specifically Kamu. It was like, oh, we're not a trio, we're not a trio. It was so sus. And I'm guarantee you Kamu was like, yeah, I know this. Um, Kamu is very broy. Kind of what you would expect, but clearly is also like, yes, I will work with some women. Specifically like the Haley, the D, these like very athletic built women, very like, the kind of thing where like Memphis and Christmas got along. Sorry, I should have given a trigger warning there. I apologize, Big Brother super fans. But kind of in that same vibe, he gives me that like Memphis, not a great guy, has certain types of women he gets along with really well. I think Haley's one of those types of women, but he's really boring and gives not much. Kamu also doesn't give a lot. It has a lot of talks about how he knows a bunch of celebrities from the UFC era. Had a weird conversation about Tori Kelly and Tori Tori Kelly taking his last name. It was real weird. I am going to pretend I didn't hear it. I'm expunging it from my brain right now. There, it's gone. I have no idea what that conversation was about. I don't even remember what it is. Good. Moving on. At number 6, we have the only person not in this majority alliance, so I think it's actually really good so far, is Lala. Everyone likes her. Don't really know her gameplay instincts, but I watch her and I just feel good about her gameplay. I feel good about her positioning. I feel good about a lot of different things. She has this energy that's surreal. She's awesome. Her I need to get all the vets. Energy is clearly gone. Hallie says publicly, which is good. I don't know where she stands with Jason. I don't know where she stands with Devins. I don't know where she stands with anybody. But I like it. I like what I'm seeing. And I think she's someone who, even if she comes at things a little later, will be okay. At number 5, I'm kind of shocked he's this low. I have Rick Devins. Very quiet gameplay wise, which is most of what's stocking him. But he's obviously a vet. He's well connected. He clearly has stuff going on. Clear thing alliance with Drew, which I really like. But he's also not really being looked at much by people on the outsides. But I just don't see anything that makes me go, yes, Rick Devins, GOAT. If that makes sense. At number 4, we have Drew. Earlier in the day, I drew pretty low on my rankings. Then I started watching a bunch of Drew strategic talks. Drew with Devins. Drew with D. Drew with the girls. And I was like, oh, this man is floating, but has a clear allegiance to the majority alliance. This is exactly what I want to see from someone like Drew. We in with the right crowd that has the power. but also playing to sort of like very fluid game where a lot of people think he's available to pick up, even though he clearly has a spot he's going. He clearly has a vision for the game right now, and he has the ability and agency, I think, to really make a break off move and take a stab at the majority alliance if he decides, hey, this is not working for me. He's currently in that position. I don't know how long that'll last, but it's a good enough position, especially when you factor in the fact that he wasn't supposedly, according to Jason, which I don't think Jason's the most to know about this game, but supposedly was an initial target for the block. And Jason convinced Dee out of it and seems to have made a bunch of connections and alliances with Dee through it. There's obviously some things that they could connect on. There's obviously him and Rick Devens have things to connect on. So there's a lot of like reasons why I should feel good about Drew. And so far I feel great. Number 3, Angela. Big Brother returning players should have an advantage because they know what they're doing. It is so clear to me that Angela knows what she's doing in a way that even like I don't think Dee quite does. Where I'm listening to like you listen to an Angela conversation and she's endearing. She goes to the right people and comforts them. Then she goes to other people and makes strategic things. She's always trying to like, hey, I have a chance to talk with this ally. Let me give a quick little bit. Then she's out there really quickly. Like, hey, I gave you just enough that you know I'm on your team and not anyone else's, and then I'm out of here. Fast, rapid conversations, not a lot of very available, very present with the group, but also good at like getting in those side conversations. Really impressive, huge growth from Angela. It's very clear to me that part of this is because she's not coming in from a position of disadvantage. She's one of those players who on 26, the alliance was plotting against her before she had created her allies to take her out the following week by like this would have been Matt, this would have been MJ, this would have been Leah, this would have been Quinn, kind of, but not really. These like players who were like plotting against her in this storage room, and this is of course where she gets the whole "I got to go after Matt" decision, which leads to the famous Crazy Eye speech. Angela in that season was constantly in a position of disadvantage, constantly didn't know who to trust as allies, because there were people working against her at all times. Even as plenty of people wanted to work with her, she had a hard time reading those two things. Here, everyone wants to work with her. She doesn't have to do the hard work, which is what Dee is doing. And she's getting to benefit from everything Dee does. All while I think having her own paths. I think Barrett is most likely is the most connected to Angela of the trio. Which is a clear benefit to Angela. I think Barrett, for example, sees Dee as the most threatening. Barrett and hey, this line's breaking up. It's definitely not going to might go with Devens, probably would go with Angela. I think Drew would go with Devens over Dee, which creates this like interesting sort of like duos thing that I think sets up Angela really well. Now I still don't know how I feel about her comp ability. I still don't know how I feel about all of her social ability. I want to see an extended Angela strategic talk, but she's the kind of person where now she's like, hey, Dee, I want you to know I had this conversation where someone said this about you. This is something you should go try to clear up. This really good thing that Angela does that like a lot of Big Brother players historically when on their first season they really struggle with, which is getting your allies to trust your allies. Novel concept, I know. But it's something that a lot of people really struggle with. And Angela's really good. And then it's also like, hey, Dee, just remember, act like this is your first time hearing this. Don't act like I told you. Keep this slow and hidden. And while I think there's people who are very suspecting that that Angela, Dee, and Devens are an alliance, it's still really good gameplay. I really like what I'm seeing from Angela. She's so much more chill, so much more laid back. And I'm sure Angela will pop off at some point. I'm sure that side of her will come out. And I can't wait for that moment. But this version of Angela has been really fun to watch. And number 2, we have Barrett. Super fan, so he knows what he's doing. The guys seem to like him. He hasn't clicked with the guys a ton, but the guys seem to like him. The girls all think he's available to be pulled in. He's in the main alliance. He has a lot of agency. Everyone wants to work with him. He's kind of in that Drew position, but just a little bit more capable a little bit more allied with the girls, a little bit more availability and flow. A lot of information is coming to Barrett. He's also a little bit more game active than Drew is, from what we can see, which I just really like. Although he's also very careful. I think it's like one of the keys is he's like, I have my alliance, great, we're gonna chill a little bit. This is a moment to chill. We'll come back in later. I do worry. I almost talked to him because it seems like he might not have liked one of the nominations. I don't know which one, but him not getting his way with the nomination would be a serious deduction. In fact, probably a good case they should move him below Angela and maybe even below Drew. But he's, someone who I'm gonna give a little more credence to because of his background, because of his knowledge of the game. And at number one, it's no surprise. It's the HOH, first HOH with the majority alliance already. Banger, banger, banger. These are exactly what you want to see. They might not always have all the nuances of the game, but they know what to be doing. They know how to be moving through this game. And their experience is clearly showing. Their threat level management is wild. Anytime someone says, we need to teach you how to play the game when you've won a similar game before, is mind blowing, and Dee deserves a ton of credit for that ability, for that gameplay, for her management. She's doing what the good first HOHs do, the Codys do, the Tylers do. Pick two people who are kind of whatever, kind of boring, kind of on the outs, and just say, hey, you guys take one of them out. Good with me. I'm going to build my alliance. I'm going to build my trust. I'm going to build all these things. And it's so obvious to me that it's working. You watch her play, and it's really satisfying to watch. Not like Saree feel. I think kind of. I'm curious to see where she goes, but she's just like in that like Cody position where it's like you get the HOH, you do all the right plays. I'm not super enthralled by D at the moment, but I don't need to be. I'm just watching really good gameplay, and it's really fun to watch. So that's my way too early rankings. Will D win the season? Will I have my second year in a row where my way too early power rankings number one winner wins the season? Who knows? But this is where I feel so far. Obviously, things will change, things will flow. I'd be curious to go back to my old rankings and see where I put some other players. But that was fun. I apologize for no video yesterday. I was supposed to have a day one, but I recorded it 3 times and it didn't get released. And I said, you know what? I give up. I'm not doing this tonight. And sound issues. Thank you guys so much. Tomorrow, depending on what happens, I'm thinking we talk first HOHs with a focus on alliance creation. But I want to get a better sense of what the actual alliances are beforehand. So we'll see what the topic ends up being tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching the Big Brother Companion. Was day 2, day 4 in the house. And it's a really great first day. So happy to be in this situation. By the time this video comes out, it probably won't all be relevant, but by the time the day 3 comes around, I'll probably have a bunch of details missing. So thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Bye.